Hey everyone, this is Kaden for the Trans Youth Friday update, and this week's topic is how was our parents' reaction when we came out? Or your guardian, whoever. I came out openly when I was about 19, turning 20 years old, right around there. And I remember I was at work, and I worked at a call center, so I was on the computer 90% of the time, and we were allowed to email outside of work and things like that. So I finally worked up enough courage to just come out openly with everyone. And I had made a YouTube video coming out of my transition the day before this, so my mom was the final person that I was going to tell. So I sent her an email at work and I said, hey, whenever you have a chance, I really need to talk to you. It's important. So naturally, as a mom, she tripped out and she just kept worrying that it was like something major. She kept asking if I was on drugs, if I was okay, just anything like that. And so I figured it would be easier for me to explain it over the internet so I could really just think about everything I was saying, and if I didn't like something, delete it. So I sent her the email, and her reply was, thank God, I'm just glad you're okay. So I explained to her a lot of just the different steps that I would have to go through with coming out with my transition, and I thankfully was able to use my insurance at the time to go through gender therapy, which was about $250 a session, and my copay was only $10, so that was nice to just be able to save like that much, I guess. After I came off my transition, it was very off and on for my mom and I. She eventually took down all the photos of me in her house, and we got into a couple arguments about her using my birth name, and how we have kind of agreed that she can just call me Cade, which is a nickname that I've had since I was a little kid. But it was very, very tense between her and I, a lot of arguments that had happened, and eventually I think her and I had come to the point where it was just easier if we just didn't talk about it, I guess. So I just remember this one time in specific. It was 2011 or 2012, I can't remember. I was 21 years old, and it was gay pool day at the Luxor Casino, and we decided to go down there, and I brought a couple of my friends and she brought her friends and just things like that. So I just remember I was standing in line with her, and she had her two gay friends with her, and they kept calling me she. And she just stops and she was like, this is my son, he is transgender, and although I do not understand it myself, I'm trying to, and you need to too. And I remember my friends just looked at me like, whoa, I can't believe your mom just said that. And I was just like, I was even blown away. And then in my head I was like, so thankful that I thought that I had my mom to just be fully supportive of my transition. I'm like, this is great. And after that, things were kind of okay between her and I, and then we stopped speaking again. Right around the time that I started taking testosterone, which was October 23rd of 2012. And we didn't speak up until I moved to Minnesota, and it was about late December, January. And I mean, she got in touch with me and just didn't want to argue about things that happened. She didn't really want to talk about it. She just wanted to see if I was okay. So she flew me out to Vegas, and we went out with a couple of my friends, and she came along, and I just remember her asking my friends, like, you know, do you think this is right? Like, do you think that he's going to be happy? I mean, this is just so hard for me. And I could tell it was even harder for her then, because that was when my voice was changing. I was getting a little bit of facial hair, but everywhere we went, I was passing as a guy. And I think it was almost a shock to her to see that I was like, did you see that, Mom? I went into the men's bathroom, and nobody even said anything, and I was just so thrilled. And that was the last time I saw my mom. It was in January of 2013, and we just stopped talking again for kind of the same crap reasons that always come up. She thinks she knows what's going on in my life, when in reality she's not even there. So we got in touch again, and this is the final time her and I started speaking. This was this last summer in July. I was going through a lot with being very depressed about having not had my top surgery yet, and just getting screwed over by my best friend. I just got dumped by this crazy girl, and I mean, just things were really hard in my life. And my mom knows that I used to have a pretty big pill addiction, and I was very honest with her when I told her I was drinking about a bottle a day, easily. So that's around the time that her and I agreed that I should probably go to rehab. Not so much that I had such a pill addiction that it was overtaking my life, but she knew that in rehab I'd be able to get a lot of one-on-one therapy. So our insurance paid for all of it, and I flew out to California to go to Passages in Ventura. So I went there, and I found out that my insurance covered my top surgery 100%. I called our insurance, and they were like, yeah, you were covered 100%. They double-checked, they looked up my policy, they did everything, and she's like, all you have to do is go to this website, find the doctors that we have listed on here, go to the appointment, etc., etc. So I found a doctor in California, in Thousand Oaks, I believe. I can't remember his name, but I went there, and they said it's going to take about a week and a half to 2 weeks for everything to go through. My therapist there sent in their letter that my insurance needed, the WAPTHA or something like that, and my doctor sent in his recommendation to my insurance saying that I do qualify to get the gender reassignment surgery and things like that. So I called my mom, and I was just so stoked, and she was just like, wow, I didn't know our insurance would do that. And so we were trying to figure out how she can get out of work. My mom works for my family's company, so she was thinking of what she could tell my grandparents so that they didn't know that she was coming out there to help me recover after my surgery. So we were trying to just figure out all that stuff. We were trying to find a hotel for her and her dogs to stay at, and so she can bring my dog out there. And I was just like, I can't believe that this is happening. Like, this is the best thing that could have ever happened in my life. And my mom just kind of disappeared again. And I got worried. And I knew that maybe she was having another... my therapist and I all believe that she's bipolar. I mean, it's without having her physically come in and get tested, it's kind of impossible to do so, but she's having like another one of her episodes. And she's just like, I can't believe you still want to get that surgery. She's sitting there telling me that I'm not really trying at rehab and just all this stuff that, I mean, she would have no idea. And we got into a huge argument, and she said that she's not supportive of the surgery, blah, blah, blah. So then she started calling the rehab I was at and started threatening them to take away my insurance and to get me kicked out of there. And my therapist pulled me out of one of my, like, they had group sessions. So I went in, and we called my mom, and that's the first time I have ever gotten my mom to say that she's not supportive of my transition. And it was really hard. It's still hard. And that was the last time her and I spoke. Shortly after that, my insurance was canceled. I had to pay or owe $4,000 to the rehab I stayed at. They didn't want to kick me out because they didn't want me to be homeless on the street until I could find a way to get back to Minnesota. So they allowed me to stay without paying up front. And my girlfriend found a way to get me a ticket. But since about August, I have not spoke to my mom. So my reaction on what my mom said was a little bit longer, but I think it took me a couple years to get my mom's true reaction. And that's that she was not accepting, nor is anybody else in my family. So that's my weekly update. I know this seems like pretty depressing, but this is literally the shortest I can make this, with trying to just cram in everything from the first day I came out until now. So I'm totally all for trying to help people get through their family disowning them, because I've been there. And if anybody, the young trans youth, really just needs help, like, you know, should I do this? When should I do this? I want to make sure that this is right. Definitely talk to me, because you do want to make sure that you're in a right position, a right place, that when you do come out, you have somewhere to fall back on in case things blow up. So that's been my weekly update. I, again, apologize for the really long video. If you have any questions, I'll put my Tumblr, my email, all that fancy stuff below. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story about my coming out with my family.